Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and ho ho holy shit, there's a Christmas tree here, and I got an ugly sweater on with a little Rudolph action. But today we're going to be talking about 25 Christmas films that are going to be on my queue. Now, I've actually already recorded this video, and unfortunately the focus on the camera was kind of messed up, so I kind of reimagined it, and I'm hoping I can just capture that Christmas spirit that I had early on in that video, but we'll see what we can do. But today we're going to jump into 25 Christmas recommendations, and I don't know when this will be out, maybe December 2nd, but I hope to have this out on December 1st, but like I said, technical difficulties, but I really hope that this works a little bit better for you. So let's jump right into December 1st, and the film that I actually did watch this morning, and right before I went to work, and I'm talking about Rankin Bass's Frosty the Snowman. So this is actually only 26 minutes, and it's lovely, it's wonderfully succinct, and I really, really enjoy it. And I love Frosty, just trying to get Karen all the way up to North Pole to see Santa, but you also have that dastardly guy who is more or less chasing a rabbit. He's like a Mad Hatter-like character. I'm trying to even remember his name, which is just going to Professor Hinkle. Yes, I should have known that. I should know these things because I just watched the fucking film. But anyway, December 1st, watch Frosty the Snowman. It's really short. You could watch any of these films that I'm going to be talking about at any time, but this one's a lot of fun to kind of start off with. All right, so now we're actually moving on to another Rankin Bass film. So if we're talking about like December 2nd, let's talk about Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Now, this one's great. This one's 51 minutes long. Yeah, 51 minutes long. It's got Fred Astaire in it. I love it. I love how Fred Astaire narrates and sings in this film. It's just absolutely magical. I watched it a few days ago when I was actually wrapping presents, and so I had a really good time with that, and it definitely harkened in the holiday spirit for me. But yes, December 2nd, I would say, you know, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, because he is arriving very, very shortly, and he's around here somewhere. Oh, he's in here as well. And this December 3rd pick is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, another Rankin Bass classic film that I absolutely love. This one's also, it's 53 minutes, so it's a little bit longer, a couple minutes. But this is the film that I watched probably the most as a kid. I just remember Silver and Gold and obviously Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer as those songs that just captured my heart, and I still to this day absolutely love it. And I was also terrified of like the Abominable Snowman in this film. But yeah, this is just this trio of the Rankin Bass films I just absolutely love. But yeah, if you're going to start off Christmas, these are the ones that I would start off with. And yeah, so enjoy yourself with the Rankin Bass trilogy in my eyes. And now we're going to move on to another animated film. This one is directed by Charles Schulz, and actually came out in 1965. I don't think I mentioned, but a lot of those films that I've just mentioned came out in the 60s as well. But Charlie Brown Christmas is another excellent Peanuts production by Charles Schulz. And this is on 4K, and actually just recently watched this with my girlfriend. We had a wonderful time watching this one. And yeah, it's a story of Charlie Brown finding this really small tree and being all bummed about Christmas, and then all his friends cheering him up. And I just absolutely love it. It's only 25 minutes long. It's just like Frosty the Snowman. It's really short, and it's definitely worth your time. So you can put this on at any time. But yeah, I got the 4K too, so I'm really excited about this. And I also want to mention, I'm so happy that Apple doesn't have the rights to Charlie Brown anymore, so you can all watch it. And I know that was a big, kerfuffle when Halloween was happening with The Great Pumpkin. But we're going to move on from Charlie Brown to another animated film. This one's from 1966. Yeah, 1966. And it has the legendary voice of Boris Karloff. I love it. I had a hiccup there. I'm not drinking any eggnog, I promise. I swear. But we have How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This movie is fantastic. It's, you delve deep into the animated world of Dr. Seuss, Sidney Lou Who, and the Grinch, who his heart grew 3 times bigger, which is a medical condition. You should definitely check it out. I love this film. This is the Ultimate Edition. I just picked this up not that long ago, and I'm so happy to own it, and I hope you are too. This is another film just like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I watched this a lot when I was a kid, and I just absolutely love it every single time. So yeah, those are my animated classics that I wanted to showcase with you. So this would be like December 5th. So let's actually move on from here to some gritty films. Some films that you may or may not agree that they're Christmas films, but it's my list, so come on. All right, so the first film I want to talk about is one that I don't ever shut up about, and it's a Christmas film in some regard, I will say. It's not totally a Christmas film, but it's set around Christmas time, and I'm talking about Martin McDonagh's In Bruges. Now, I've talked about this movie, like I said, a lot, so it's not really something I'm going to really expound upon, but I would say that because this is a holiday type film, there is a lot of atmosphere to the film, and especially near the end of the film, you can definitely feel a Christmas spirit to it. And the ending of the film is really chaotic and really hectic, but you can definitely see that there are some elements of Christmas in this film. And so, yeah, it's my list. So, yeah, bye-bye if you disagree with that one. So let's actually move on to December 7th, I think is where we're at now, to another film that's very much like In Bruges in a buddy cop kind of sense of way. I'm talking about Shane Black's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I love Val Kilmer in this film. He is just so sarcastic, and he's fat as well, and it's just hilarious. And then you also have Robert Downey Jr., who is fresh right around the same time as he's doing Iron Man, and so he's definitely picking up speed at this time. But this is all set during Christmas, and it's just this really crazy neo-noir in a sense. But you know, Shane Black, if you've seen anything like Lethal Weapon or The Nice Guys, you know what type of film you're going into. And this is just a really great holiday film. In fact, I'm definitely going to be watching that this year. It's been a couple years since I've seen this one, but I'm so excited to revisit it because it was so much fun and it's hilarious. It's definitely a dark comedy, and I don't think I mentioned that, but within Bruges, also a dark comedy, a little bit more serious maybe. So let's actually move on from here to December 8th or something like that, to a film that I actually just recently watched as well a couple nights ago, and I really loved it, and I really loved revisiting this film. It's from 1992. I'm talking about Batman Returns. I'm not talking about the two on the bottom. I'm talking mostly about the first two, but Batman Returns is a Christmas film. It's a film that has the Penguin, you have Danny DeVito, you have Michael Keaton as Batman, who's fantastic always, and then you have the amazingly sexy and dangerous Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, and boy oh boy is she dangerous in this film. Yeah, but anyway, I don't want to get distracted. This is a really fun film, and I love it. It's so over the top. Christopher Walken's also in it, and yeah, if you haven't seen Batman Returns in a while, definitely revisit it, because it had definitely been a while for me to revisit it, and I'm so glad I did. I had such a blast with it, and I love every single... There's a perfect cast. It's just a perfect cast, a perfect film. It's really, really great. Now we're going to move on to another film from Tim Burton. I don't think I mentioned that Tim Burton directed that one, but another Christmas film that has a lot of holiday spirit to it. I'm talking about Edward Scissorhands, and this one's from 1990, and I really, really enjoy this one. Johnny Depp, this is definitely one of his best performances, and this is a film that is definitely set in suburbia, and it has some heart to it as well. There's a lot of really creepy and weird stuff going on, but it's all kind of around... The creepy and weird stuff really is the suburbia. But anyway, I don't want to dive into that one too much. But yeah, Edward Scissorhands, this is another Christmas film that you can watch. I think we're on December 10th. Honestly, I'm going to lose track of what days we're going in. So whatever I put up in the corner, that's what day it'll be. Now we're going to talk about one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. It might be my favorite Christmas movie of all time. Outside of my December 25th pick, which I'll talk about later. But this is the film that I watch every Christmas Eve, and I'm talking about Die Hard. And this movie is perfect. Bruce Willis may be crazy in real life right now, but in this film, he's just absolutely the man that you want to cheer on. John McClane, just taking on Alan Rickman, who is Hans Gruber, this British German, right? He's really British, but by the way, all R.I.P. Alan Rickman. I don't know. This movie is just so much fun. It is just a blast every single time I watch it. Literally a blast, because there's a lot of explosions and a lot of gunfire. But yeah, I love this film every single time I watch it, and I'm so happy that this is in the tradition of me watching it every Christmas. So I definitely will be watching it on Christmas Eve. But yeah, it's on December 13th or something like that, whatever date I just said. Let's actually move on from there to some comedies. So let's talk about some 80s comedies first. And so this first one is from 1987, which is one of my favorite film years of all time. You probably should check out that video. It might be in the description down below. But I'm talking about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And you got Steve Martin and John Candy, and also Cinema Dave, who is in this film, maybe. Anyway, I really, really enjoy this film. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely anxiety-ridden with all of the different travels going on and just trying to make it to the holidays and meet with family. It's a lot of fun, but definitely don't find yourself in that situation ever. Please don't find yourself in that situation. All right, so now we're going to move on to 1983. We're going back in time. So we are talking about Trading Places. Now we have Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy, and the amazing Jamie Lee Curtis, but I want to mention the fact we have Paul Gleason in this film, and he delivers one of my favorite lines of all time, and this is something I used to quote all the time with one of my friends when I used to work at the record store. We would be on the phone, and we'd hover a little bit, and then they'd say, "Hold on a second, fuck off," and then, but that is one of my favorite lines from Trading Places. It's a really fun film. I didn't mention it. I didn't really talk about it at all, but that's the thing I wanted to mention about Trading Places. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's a lot of fun. I'm excited to revisit it and rewind that scene over and over again. We're going to move on to some classics that I've seen many, many times, and I watched these right when I was growing up all the time, and I'll give you some of the stories first. We're going to talk about Home Alone 2. We probably should talk about Home Alone first, right? Let's talk about Home Alone first. Home Alone is a film that I've seen probably more than any of the other films, except for maybe Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I've seen this movie so many times. So when I was growing up, I used to go to summer camp because my parents would work during the day. And at the summer camp, occasionally, well, I would say not occasionally, about 4 or 5 times in the summer, we would go to a place called Godfather's Pizza. And Godfather's Pizza had a big movie room. And that movie room had a lot of seats for, kids to sit out and eat cheese pizza, which, as you do with Home Alone, is a cheese pizza film. And that's the thing that I was hooked on. But I've seen this movie probably 20 to 25 times. It's insane. It makes me want to go, that was lame. Check out Home Alone if you hadn't seen it. And then if we're talking about the sequel right here, starring the former president, so check out Home Alone 2. These films are great. I love Macaulay Culkin as Kevin. We also have Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, Marv and Harry. I love them both so much. I think I just reversed their names. But anyway, Home Alone and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. I didn't think I mentioned the second part. We're on like December 20, we're on like the December something, right? Let's move on from here to another classic from the 90s. Next, we're moving on to another classic film from the 90s. And this one is definitely objectively probably not the best film, but it's a lot of fun. And I'm talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger in Jingle All the Way. And we have little Anakin Skywalker there. He's just trying to get Turbo Man. I mean, come on, it's an action figure film. Just trying to, that's the number one thing that he wants. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's involved. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really over the top. It's insane. If you haven't seen Jingle All the Way, I had recently saw it probably a few years ago for the first time. I know, crazy. But I really, really enjoyed it. And I hope you do too. So yeah, all the way. Now we're moving on to probably one of a lot of people's favorite film, at least contemporary film from the 2000s. Actually, I don't even remember what year this came out. 2003. But I remember watching this in theaters and having a really good time. And I've seen it definitely many times after. I'm talking about Elf. I think Will Ferrell is fantastic in this film. I think it's one of his best performances. Now, I will say the other guys I've mentioned before, that's probably my favorite film with Will Ferrell, but I also really like Stranger Than Fiction and a few other of his comedies, Anchorman, for instance. But anyway, I love Elf. It's a lot of fun, and it's definitely a really fun time. But it's just a story of a guy just trying to find his dad, and that's all he's trying to do. He's journeying from the North Pole back to New York, and you also have James Caan in it. So yeah, it's definitely worth your time. And James Caan is the father. Spoilers. Now we're going to move on from here to another film, but this film is in the mid-2000s, 2004, something like that. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, 2003. It's the same year. 2003 is Elf. We're talking about one of the best romantic films of all time, at least in the contemporary sense, Love Actually. This film has 1 million people in it, and I watched this for the first time maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and that was right around the time where I'm like, okay, this is a film that was definitely for me. So much heart in this film, and it's got a lot of really great performances in it, and the cast is ecstatic. There's so many people in this film. Good God. Hugh Grant, Liam Neeson, Colin Firth, Laura Linney, Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, Keira Knightley, Rowan Atkinson. That's just to name a few. Great film. Love Actually. We're on December something, or December 20th, or where are we at? Yeah, let's just move on to some holiday classics. All right, I counted. We're on December 18th, I think. Anyway, we're going to talk about one of the films that was definitely one of my favorite films growing up as well, and it just constantly, well, actually, when I was putting this tree up, it kind of reminded me of what I did not want to do, and that was getting electrocuted. Talking about Christmas Vacation, and I love this steelbook right here. Chevy Chase, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This one's a lot of fun. It's a film that is constantly playing all the time. And speaking of things constantly playing, if we're going on to like December 19th or whatever, Christmas Story right here. Another great steelbook. These two are considered, I think, by a lot of people, some of the best classics here. Now, Ralphie is just trying to get, you know, he's trying to get a gun. He's trying to become John Wayne, more or less, in this film. And yeah, both of these are really great classics and a lot of fun. And definitely, if these are like your favorite of the Christmas films, I wouldn't, you know, count you wrong on that at all. And this one plays all the frickin' time on TBS, like literally 24 hours a day. I just remember growing up and watching that quite a bit, maybe seeing it too many times. So many times that I wanted to shoot my own eyes out. But I love it nonetheless. I do like Christmas Story quite a bit. All right, we're jumping back to the 90s because for some reason I don't know how to order these things. And we're talking about Tim Allen in Santa Claus. And this is the film that reminded me of my childhood just from the sheer fact that, yes, I watched Home Alone and Santa Claus and these films, but this is the one that made me think, Nathan, don't get fat like Chevy Chase in this film, or at least grow to the size of his belly, because he killed Santa and he had to become Santa Claus. Little chubby Nathan definitely did get a little chubby, but now he's good. We're good. But that's the moral of this story. Don't get chubby. That sounds weird. Don't kill Santa Claus. That's the moral of this story. Now we're going to move on to some classics, right? So these last 5 days of Christmas, these are going to be some holiday classics that I really, really enjoy. And so this is December 20th. This is actually a remake by John Hughes, and I really love this one. Now, this is a remake. It's not better than the original. We'll talk about that one in a second. But we're talking about Miracle on 34th Street. And, I mean, look at this, man. Attenborough is Santa Claus. He looks so jolly, and I love him so much as Santa. He's like a British Santa, but it's such a fun film. And if you haven't seen the remake of Miracle on 34th Street, it's got like Matilda in it. I don't know her name. I didn't do enough research for this film to talk about it, but I really enjoy this one. And it's definitely not the original, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but it's so much fun. It's got a lot of heart, and I think it's got a lot to say. And yeah, this one's really quite good. Now we're going to talk about two holiday classics, musicals, and I'm actually really new to musicals, so don't think I am the expert on this film, on these films that I'm about to mention. In fact, I picked these up a few years back, maybe 3 years ago, and I watched them for the first time at that time, and I've seen them only maybe twice each. I'm talking about Irving Berlin's Holiday Inn and White Christmas right here. Now, both of these films have Bing Crosby in it. This one has Fred Astaire, Holiday Inn, which, you know, I mentioned Fred Astaire earlier when I was talking about Santa Claus is Coming to Town. But both of these films are so much fun, and there's a lot of heart to them, and it's starting to make me really enjoy Christmas films that and also involve music that aren't like in the animated sense, if that makes any sense at all. But I'm starting to get into musicals, and these ones are a lot of fun, and definitely worth your time. And yeah, it makes me want to dance. So I'm not going to do that because there's a giant tree next to me. Now we're moving on to December 34th, and we're talking about the original Miracle on 34th Street. Maureen O'Hara's in this film, and I actually just recently finished a Maureen O'Hara biography. I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, this is the original right here, and it's so wonderful. There's like a black and white version of this and a colored version, I want to say, in this particular one. I could be wrong, but definitely watch the black and white version of this film and the next film that I'm going to talk about. And I have a feeling you know what I'm going to be talking about on the 25th, right? Maybe you do. I'm talking about Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life. Ugh. Donna Reed and Jimmy Stewart. This movie, I just remember where I was the first time I watched this movie. I was actually in a class in middle school, junior high-ish time, and I remember it was in a counseling type of class. I don't exactly know what it was called. It It isn't elected that everyone took because it was easy. But I remember watching this movie and I was like, wow, this movie, like, it's a black and white film. At the time, wasn't into those things, you know. But I just remember it capturing a lot of heart, and little Nathan, he was chubby at the time, you know, I was fresh off Santa Claus, right? So I was chubby Nathan at the time when I watched this for the first. And I was just blown away by it, and I've seen it many, many times ever since. And this is the 4K version of it. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's definitely like my favorite Christmas film outside of Die Hard, right? These are the two. These are the polar opposite ends of each other. But this is a wonderful edition. I cannot wait to have the Steelbook edition someday. But, you know, I might get it, and that's maybe my greatest Christmas wish, right? But what about you? What are 25 Christmas films that you'll be watching? I didn't mention a few of them, like Black Christmas. I actually watched Black Christmas the other day, back in October, and I really, really loved it. And there's a lot of other Christmas films, a lot of Christmas classics that I am missing. So tell me down in the comment section down below, what am I missing, and what should I be watching? And so thank you so much for watching this little video. I hope everyone's going to have a happy holidays all around this entire December. Give this video a like, comment down below, share this video, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.